Inside the last half an hour of the Sportsmax Zone for this Tuesday, we're switching now to cricket. But off the field, on Monday's show, we mentioned that Johnny Graves' tenure as Chief Executive Officer of Cricket West Indies will end when his contract expires in October after 7 years in the role. While reflecting on his time at the helm of the region's governing body, the Englishman expressed satisfaction with the decision to move on from the role. Here's what he said: "I've received tremendous support from so many people since becoming CEO. And I'd like to thank everyone, especially the staff and the players, particularly during the difficult pandemic, for their trust in me and their commitment to West Indies cricket." Now, Cricket West Indies President Dr. Kishore Shallow, while thanking Grave for his service to the administration, says the change is part of turning a new leaf in Cricket West Indies administration. Here's what Shallow said: "As we look forward to embracing a new chapter in the organization's evolution, CWI is poised to deliver the new strategic plan and enter a new era of governance. This transition reflects our commitment to adapting and innovating in response to the evolving landscape of cricket." Now, Joseph Reds Pereira joins us to help evaluate Graves' tenure. Reds, of course, has over 50 years' experience in the business of sports commentary and journalism. Particularly cricket, I would suggest. Reds, welcome to the Sportsmax Zone. Always great to have you on, sir.
Yeah, nice of you to have me. Good afternoon to your colleague, Leighton. And before we started the cricket, let me say, and I think I'm reflecting the Caribbean view, that the commentary panel out of Paris did an outstanding job that every standing West Indian would be proud of, Lance.
Yes, thank you very much, Reds. And we've gotten similar comments throughout the region as well. Your good friend Mike Finley from St. Vincent and the Grenadines sent me a message last week to say that he was very, very impressed with the coverage of the games as well. He was one of many messages, or that was one of many messages that we got. But we embrace your thoughts, Reds, and especially coming from a man like you with such a history in the sport, it means a lot to us that you feel that the coverage was good. Thanks, Reds. So let's get to the business of hand now, because the story emerging this week that the contract for Johnny Grave expires and will not be renewed in October. Can you comment on that first of all before you give a comment or an analysis of the quality of his tenure?
Well, I think that he came in at a time under Dave Cameron. Shortly after that, he hit the road running, coming out of the Surrey background where he was in a high position and had good experience at that level. And the West Indies, of course, had gone on to beat England here in the West Indies, and it was a great start to come in as CEO at that time. But things have not really matched maybe the work of the CEO in terms of what we have done on the ground over the years whilst he was at the desk of the CEO. I think certainly his skills at negotiation certainly enhanced the West Indies coffers. I think quite recently President Shallow was saying that they're over 2 million plus. I would think that number probably much greater by the time he leaves in 2 months. So he has done a very good job from that point of view, but maybe not all the things on the field was there for him to back his negotiation strength. If your team is doing well, you go to the ICC, you have a bargaining chip.
Yeah, and Reds, about the narrative coming from both sides, giving the impression of an agreeable parting of ways, coming from Johnny Graves as well. Are you comfortable with the assessment that this wasn't Graves' decision, and this wasn't a decision that was mutually agreed on? Because there are thoughts that the board of directors made this decision and it may not be that Grave was ready to end.
Well, I know you're a football man, but you just bowled me a short rising bumper there because I didn't pick that up.
Well,
that that Graves and the board didn't maybe quite have a mutual feeling. I thought that Graves was simply calling it the day after, of course, starting in 2017. And, it is not easy for the board to pick up a CEO with that kind of experience very easily.
Yeah.
And I would think if the board had a choice of him staying on another year, maybe they should have offered that to him, because it's going to take some time, Lance, to advertise this job and get someone with the experience, with the knowledge, with the personality to join.
Yeah, I'm not sure if.
Yes, we just go.
Yeah, Reds, go ahead. We're hearing you now. We're hearing you now.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting a commercial in my hair. Yes, I think it might have been better if he had stayed on for a year, which would have given them ample time.
Yeah, regarding the bumper that you just say, I bowled you, Reds, two things. I was a high school fast bowler at school with some degree of success, even though I was more of a footballer. So it's not out of character.
With a legal action?
Yes, it was very legal. It was very legal. I must say that as I got older, the pace didn't increase, so I was no longer a fast bowler. But at 15, 16, I was a fast bowler. And I'm not saying that this wasn't agreeable on both sides. I just wanted to know, with your insight, if it is that it may not have been, and you had information that it may not have been. But as far as you're concerned, it was agreeable on both sides.
Well, I think if they had an option, as I said before, to keep him for another year, they should have. It's going to take some time advertising that job for them to find somebody who can hit the board running. And he leaves Lance. Further loss with Roland Holder going, now that the World Cup is over, a further loss of Philip Spooner going. So, the trio is quite a loss, because Holder did a lot of good work behind the scenes in terms of arranging flights, in terms of arranging hotels, in terms of negotiating with his counterpart, left, right, and center. And Spooner, when he was given the opportunity, was outstanding. It's not all the time a PR person can go with a story without maybe checking and getting the clearance. But I think it's a bad loss to lose those three people so quickly.
Red, the statement from Dr. Shallow suggests that this is the continuing evolution of Cricket West Indies administration. What does that mean to you in the context of the departures of the three gentlemen that you just mentioned? What does that mean to you? What does that suggest to you?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, if you take the fact that they have moved on from Desmond Haynes and selectors, if you take on board that now the team is being picked by the coach only, which is the only ICC country who has gone that route, and maybe there's a question why others haven't gone that route. I think your question is very kind of relevant, and I don't want to believe what you're hinting there. I would like to believe that we will be looking to attract a top quality CEO at this time, when our cricket is at a very low ebb. We had a pretty disappointing World Cup. During Johnny Graves' period, he would have liked to be part of a CEO who was, with a winning side. That didn't happen. And the new man, whenever that person comes aboard, or new woman, they have a lot of work to do themselves, and the director of cricket, Miles Bascom, has got to set clear plans, clear, solid plans, so that the West Indies can get back towards a respected level in ICC cricket. There are things like the A tours. There's the things like the 4-day season not being sponsored, a great drain on the West Indies board. And I think the new CEO is going to have a major job in trying to pick up the slack, so to speak, or go with some of the work that Johnny Graves had put in during his time. The one period I think that he didn't quite enjoy is about the legal matters that appeared after, of course, the selectors were dismissed, etc. But I don't want to go into that any further because that is something which you need to have a lot of information on. But I think that was a difficult period, especially when there were questions from the press.
Yeah, and the work that the new CEO will have to do comes in the context of what Andre Russell said recently when he said that given the number of T20 leagues across the world, he doesn't think that players are interested in playing Test cricket for the West Indies anymore. That presents itself in itself a significant challenge as well, given that what he's suggesting is that there's going to be a challenge in finding players who are willing to play tests on a consistent basis.
Well, quite recently there was a suggestion, Leighton, that there should be a one-to-one group meeting with the players to get them buying in to the test program. I don't know how far that has gone. Can they lean to the likes of Sir Clive Lloyd and Sir Vivian Richards and others to get the buy-in from the present players, and we just have to see what they could offer in terms of contracts, because I mean the franchise game is just booming with dollars all over the place. I think the ICC have allowed too many franchises. Some of them are fourth division. But it's a fact of life. You can't tell a man he can't go and earn $1 if he doesn't want to play for the West Indies. But I do feel, if I can go back to something I was disappointed in, and this was during Johnny Graves' period, that when we went to England in the pandemic and saved the English Test and County Board millions of pounds, and we played, and because we played, we saved world cricket. Pakistan came, Australia came. I do not believe that we got our just benefits. And I talk about an A tour from England to the West Indies, and the TCCB should have paid for an A tour to say thanks to the West Indies board for the magnificent decision to come to England in that pandemic kind of a situation.
Yeah. Reds, we just have 30 seconds in the segment left or less. So I want to get a quick comment from you, because you've already stated that the person taking over will have an immense job. What kind of person would you like to see get the job as Johnny Graves' replacement?
Somebody who is advertised for, somebody where there's a transparent interview, somebody of high quality that we can attract maybe from another ICC country, someone who has probably served in that position but is young enough to come and work with the West Indies board and pick up all the plans that Johnny Graves had worked on.
Okay, so you're not averse to a non-Caribbean person filling that role?
I'm not if we can find a Caribbean person to fill that role, but there's no Stephen Camash in the wings, and we have to look for the best, and I'm sure that the finance is there to attract the best, and he can look forward to a challenge of taking West Indies cricket up the ladder.
Thank you very much, Reds. Always great talking to you. We'll be back with more on the Sportsmax Zone after this.